Her husband was assassinated in a public speech, but she accidentally took over the post of presidential candidate. But as a widow to run for president, she has become a thorn in the eye of countless political opponents. After all, the person behind her husband's murder is still hiding a bigger conspiracy and secret. And what's more shocking is that she found out from the crime scene surveillance of her husband's murder that the murderer had met her husband's brother 2 hours before the murder, that is, her own prosecutor uncle. In order to find out the truth, the woman, Mun-ju, found her husband's secretary to ask questions. And from the secretary's words, her husband, Junhee, has been secretly meeting people with unknown identities since 2 months ago. And he added a lot of security personnel and police force the day before he returned to China. And his daily life has become much more cautious. Even on the way home, he has to turn around and run a few times to check. The secretary also asked him why he did this. But Junhee said that there was a squirrel following and put a children's book. It turned out that her husband had told Mun-ju that her brother Junshan had been bitten by a squirrel. So, she gave Junshan a nickname of Squirrel. At the same time, Mun-ju also asked the assistant to investigate the abnormal situation of the assassin's father's house. And the strange thing is that their whole family suddenly moved to a place that seemed to be very far away. At this moment, all the suspicions have nothing to do with Junshan. So Mun-ju immediately found her son. But Junshan said that her husband Junhee was killed by an anti-unification lunatic. And as a prosecutor, she had long investigated that Junhee was a traitor spy. At first, she was still suspicious of this. So she secretly set up a task force to follow Junhee. But, unfortunately, she still found evidence related to Junhee's contact with the enemy. Now Korea and North Korea are in a tense relationship. He is the top employee agent of a U.S. private army, Waljirai. As a diplomat, Mun-ju should know this organization. After all, as long as they give a lot of money, they can kill or protect any scum. If this assassination has nothing to do with the United States, how did Baek San-ho appear on the scene? So Junshan thinks he should inherit his brother Junhee's presidential candidate position. But Mun-ju knows very well that her husband is definitely not a spy, and the so-called evidence of the novel must have been made up by someone. Then Mun-ju came to the church again to find the priest, or it is very likely that he is still on the scene. And as soon as the flowers fell, the killer walked out of the door next door and found them. After sending Mun-ju into a safe room, Baek San-ho immediately started a fight with the killer. As the top employee, Baek San-ho, with suspicion, Baek San-ho opened the door of the priest's room very skillfully. Mun-ju realized that Baek San-ho's relationship with the priest must be extraordinary, and immediately followed him. Baek San-ho told Mun-ju that this secret tunnel was built during the colonial period in Japan. As the underground church on the southeast peninsula a few people knew this location. At this time, Mun-ju asked Baek San-ho if he had served as an employee of the American organization Walgreens. Baek San-ho explained that the contract with Walgreens would need to be re-signed every 2 years, and his contract ended a year ago and did not continue the contract. Then Baek San-ho took out the key clue he left from the priest's Bible. This white card is the same as the assassin who assassinated Mun-ju's husband at the time. Obviously, the two events that killed the priest and Mun-ju's husband were done by the same team, and Baek San-ho may have guessed what the other party wanted, because the Americans don't want to see it. So the U.S. also planned a precision missile attack to destroy North Korea's military and facilities. And the secret letter to Junhee was sent by the Korean State Secretary's assistant, Miller, who was involved in the meeting. After all, Miller and his friend, due to Miller's opposition, it was also banned from entering the presidential meeting again. Miller knew that this plan would affect the safety of millions of lives. But now that he has different opinions, he must be monitored by someone. So Miller wrote all the situations in a secret letter to Junhee. And Junhee, after learning the news, also greatly strengthened his security personnel. And in order to prevent the outbreak of this war, he gave a speech in the church. Now things have burned it, he might not have died. And Miller would not have been involved in this international storm. But before Miller reacted, Kim burned the secret letter on the spot. Then he told Miller that after Junhee died, the United States and South Korea were investigating this matter. But when Kim figured out the situation, he reached the same conclusion as Junhee. That is, no matter what, Kim must stop the outbreak of this war. Guys, don't fight. Let's solve this peacefully. No matter how many flags are waving, shout it out. Can you hear me? So what are you going to do? I'm going to get in a crazy guy's car and see where he's going. After all, in a small country like theirs, you can fight for whatever you can get in power. If you try to be unfriendly to the other party, you will definitely harm your own interests. Although Mun-ju was a diplomat ambassador in the United Nations before, he did not play any role. Do you think you quit that position yourself? You lied, you drank, you betrayed me, and you didn't get the results you wanted. You're out. You're surprised that I still hit you in the back of the head. Mun-ju did not expect that it was Kim who delayed his resignation. Then Kim said something that made Mun-ju lose her temper. Jinhee's death may be a chance for Kim to get closer to the United States. You know who killed him, but you're just going to cover it up? What do you mean? I'm going to cover up the gap created by the death of Jang Junik and get into the United States. So you get out of here. It's not a warning. It's not a favor. So now Mun-ju doesn't have to investigate the murder of her husband. As the destination arrives, Kim enters the red carpet of the power. Then she has to go into the high wall. Maybe only standing in a higher position can she shine a light on the truth of her husband's death. After returning home, Mun-ju saw that her mother-in-law was packing her things and wanted to get ready to move out. At this time, Mun-ju asked her mother-in-law why she was against her marriage to Junhee at first. She even wanted to cut off all of Junhee's money and relationships and never see him again. But her mother-in-law said she wanted her son to marry a wife who was an open and gentle woman. Actually, Mun-ju's mother-in-law had investigated Mun-ju's background from the beginning. Although Mun-ju was in a single mother's care, her ability was not ordinary. Mun-ju gained a lot of popularity through simulated UN speeches during her college years. And her mother-in-law was interested in the unique patriotic heart of Seo Mun-ju and diplomatic aspirations. They have been raising children for 3 generations, and they have been raising children for more than 20 years. At this time, Mun-ju's mother-in-law wanted Junhee to support her to become the president. Mun-ju's mother-in-law also said that her second son Junshan was not good since he was a child. Even if he went to run for president, he would definitely be pulled into the water. On the contrary, Mun-ju has the ability of a former diplomat and the potential that Junhee cannot see. And Mun-ju is very clear that Junhee is so young that she can become a presidential candidate. There must be a lot of hard work behind her mother-in-law. What Mun-ju needs now is what her mother-in-law has prepared. Mun-ju's mother-in-law accepted Mun-ju's proposal, but she still wanted to make sure what she could get by doing this. Mun-ju immediately said that if she was successful in the election, she would hand over all of Junhee's property. The mother-in-law who saw this moment immediately laughed. In fact, the mother-in-law already knew that Mun-ju's dream since childhood was to become a president. It's just that she didn't expect that she would still go down this road. Tell me, where should I start? Please call the young master and get rid of this couple in 24 hours. The young master has to go abroad. Mun-ju is about to enter a far more dangerous power game than she imagined. It's a huge force hidden abroad. A path of bloodshed is already under her feet. Her weapon is wisdom and determination. There is also a heart that seeks truth and peace. The final victory of this battle has just begun. Okay, this is the end of the second episode. I'm Tao Tao. See you next time.